Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to try and wrap our heads around controlled release and targeted drug delivery systems.
Yeah, these are pretty fascinating.
Like, imagine if we could make medicines work better,
Right.
more effective and for longer periods, and cut down on those pesky side effects.
Yeah, no more taking a pill every few hours and then having it wear off before you know it.
And definitely no more of those unwanted side effects that make you feel worse than the actual condition you were trying to treat.
Definitely.
It is all about optimizing the benefits and minimizing the downsides.
And honestly, it's not just about creating brand new drugs. It's about using existing ones more effectively.
Yeah, and to do that, we will be exploring a couple of key approaches.
Right.
Polymer-based systems that kind of act like tiny time-release capsules for drugs.
Yeah, and then there are these mechanism-driven designs.
Yes.
These are super cool. They actually use specific triggers in the body to release the drug exactly where it is needed.
So we are going to pull some real-world examples from research papers, especially those OPR&D publications we keep coming back to.
Absolutely.
The goal here is to understand the fundamental principles behind these technologies,
Right.
and also why they hold so much promise for the future of medicine.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting deep dive.
Okay, so before we get too far into the specifics,
Yeah.
let's take a step back.
Sure.
What is the main issue with traditional drug delivery methods that makes controlled release and targeted delivery so necessary in the first place?
Well, the core problem is this.
Yeah.
With the traditional way we take drugs, you often end up with this fluctuation in the drug's concentration in your bloodstream.
Okay, I am following you.
Like when you swallow a pill, it gets absorbed pretty quickly,
Right.
leading to a sudden spike in the drug's level in your blood.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes this peak can be so high that it actually causes those nasty side effects.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Then as your body starts breaking down the drug and getting rid of it, those levels start to drop.
Yeah.
And often they drop below the level where the drug is actually effective.
Oh, I see.
This is called the therapeutic threshold.
So it is like a roller coaster ride for your body.
Exactly.
Up and down, up and down.
And that is exactly what controlled release systems are designed to fix.
Okay, so they are like the steady hand that keeps the drug levels right where they need to be.
Precisely.
No more dramatic peaks and valleys.
Exactly.
So how do they achieve that steady state?
So controlled release systems basically release the drug gradually over a much longer time.
Okay.
Instead of that initial burst you get from a regular pill,
Right.
it's like a slow and steady stream.
Interesting.
And this means the drug concentration in your body stays within that therapeutic window for a longer time.
So it is more like a constant drip instead of a sudden flood.
Exactly.
And this not only improves how well the drug works, but it also...
Yeah, it also dramatically lowers the chance of those side effects that you get from those initial high peaks.
This makes so much sense.
It's all about consistency.
Okay, now let's talk about targeted delivery.
Yeah,
This seems even more sophisticated.
it really is.
How does it take things to the next level?
Targeted delivery is all about precision.
Okay.
It's about directing the drug to a very specific location in your body.
Like a guided missile.
Exactly.
Instead of it just floating around everywhere.
It could be a tumor,
Yeah?
an inflamed joint, or even certain types of cells.
Wow.
By getting the drug exactly where it is needed,
Right.
we can use a much lower dose overall,
Makes sense.
but still achieve a higher concentration right at the problem area.
So maximizing the impact on the disease.
Exactly.
But what about the rest of the body?
And that's the best part.
Yeah.
Because we are targeting so precisely.
Right.
It means we are drastically reducing the drug's exposure to healthy tissues,
That is incredible.
which in turn significantly minimizes those systemic side effects that can be really troublesome with some medications.
It is like a surgical strike. Instead of carpet bombing your whole system.
Exactly.
Okay, I am really starting to see the potential here.
It's a really exciting field.
Now, you mentioned polymer-based systems
Yes.
as a key approach in controlled release.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us a bit?
So polymers are these big molecules.
Okay.
Think of them like long chains made up of repeating units.
I see.
And they are incredibly versatile.
In what way?
We can engineer them to have very specific chemical and physical properties.
Oh, wow.
So in controlled release, we can actually use them to encapsulate the drug.
So the drug is trapped inside this polymer structure.
Exactly like a tiny time-release capsule.
Okay, I'm with you.
This encapsulation allows us to control how quickly the drug is released.
So the polymer acts as a gatekeeper.
Yeah, a gatekeeper that regulates the flow of the drug.
Okay, I am getting the picture.
Yeah.
But how does the drug actually get out of this polymer prison to do its job?
There are a few different mechanisms at play here.
Okay, fill me in.
And the specific mechanism depends on the type of polymer we use and how we design the system.
Okay.
One common way is through diffusion.
Diffusion.
The drug molecules kind of dissolve within the polymer matrix
Okay.
and then slowly move out, driven by the difference in concentration between the inside and the outside of the polymer.
Interesting.
Another way is through polymer degradation.
Degradation.
Some polymers are actually designed to break down over time.
Okay.
This can happen through reactions with water
Right.
or with enzymes in the body.
And as the polymer degrades.
Well, the trapped drug is slowly released.
I see.
And the cool thing is,
Yeah.
we can actually control the rate of this breakdown
Oh.
by choosing the right polymer and tweaking its structure.
So it is like a timer on the drug release.
Precisely.
We can set it to release the drug at a specific rate over a specific period.
You got it.
This is really impressive stuff.
It is pretty amazing how much control we have.
Now let's move on to the mechanism-driven designs you mentioned.
Yeah, those are really cool.
How do those work?
These designs are all about taking advantage of specific conditions in the body.
Okay.
Things that are unique to the area where we want to deliver the drug.
Give me an example.
Well, for instance,
Yeah.
many tumors have a more acidic pH than healthy tissues.
Oh, that is interesting.
So we can design a delivery system that stays stable at the normal pH of the blood,
Right.
but then breaks apart and releases the drug when it encounters that lower pH in the tumor.
So the change in pH is like a trigger.
Exactly.
It tells the system, okay, this is the spot. Release the drug.
It's incredibly precise.
This is fascinating.
And there are other examples too.
Like what?
Well, we can also use special receptors that are found on the surface of certain cells,
Okay.
say cancer cells.
Right.
And we can attach molecules to the drug delivery system.
Okay.
Molecules that bind specifically to those receptors.
I am following.
It's kind of like a key fitting into a lock.
But if the drug is only delivered to cells that have those specific receptors.
Yeah, exactly.
This is amazing.
It's all about exploiting the unique features of the target site.
It seems like science fiction, but it is really happening.
It is the future of medicine.
Okay. Let's bring some of these concepts to life with some real-world examples from the research you've been looking at.
Yes, let's do this.
One paper that caught my eye is OPR&D 2020s.pdf.
Yeah, I remember that one.
It talks about making the process of synthesizing GW641597X better.
Right.
Now, this paper is not directly about drug delivery,
No, it is not.
but what can we learn from it about how important it is to manufacture these drugs efficiently?
It's a great point.
Because even with the most amazing delivery system,
Right.
if you can't produce the drug itself reliably and at scale, it's all for nothing.
Absolutely.
This paper highlights that.
It shows how crucial process chemistry is.
Yeah, things like fine-tuning reaction conditions, using the right solvents, getting rid of impurities efficiently.
All those things.
It's all about making the whole manufacturing process smoother,
Yeah.
more cost-effective, and less harmful to the environment.
And ultimately, it's about ensuring a steady and dependable supply of the drug.
That is the foundation.
Without it, even the most brilliant delivery system is just an idea on paper.
Okay, now let's move on to OPR&D 2021d.pdf.
Ah, yes.
This one delves into the world of phase transformations and the importance of understanding a drug's physical properties.
Yes, that's a really interesting one.
How does this tie into designing effective controlled release systems?
Well, this paper underscores something crucial.
What is that?
We need to pay close attention to the solid-state properties of the drug itself.
Okay, I'm listening.
In many controlled release formulations, the drug is mixed with a polymer.
Right, like we talked about earlier.
And how that drug exists within that mix.
Yeah.
Like whether it is in a crystalline form or as an amorphous solid, that can actually have a huge impact on how stable it is over time.
I see.
And more importantly, how it gets released from the controlled release system.
So it is not just about what the drug is made of.
It's also about its physical form.
Right.
And how it interacts with the other materials in the delivery system.
Got it.
And these phase transformations, where the drug might change its form during storage,
Yeah.
those can really mess things up.
In what way?
They can change how soluble the drug is, how quickly it dissolves, which directly affects its release and ultimately its bioavailability.
So controlling those material properties is super important.
Absolutely.
It's all about ensuring that the controlled release system works consistently and predictably.
Exactly.
Okay, another paper that caught my attention is OPR&D 2022.pdf.
Okay.
This one really emphasizes the importance of getting a high yield and purity in the drug synthesis process.
Right.
How does this tie back to our discussion on advanced drug delivery?
Well, no matter how fancy your delivery system is,
Yeah.
the drug you are delivering has to be top-notch quality.
It is the foundation.
Exactly.
This paper stresses that.
Any impurities lurking in the drug can cause problems.
Like what kind of problems?
They could lead to unexpected side effects or mess with how the drug is supposed to work.
So even with a targeted or controlled release system, if the drug itself is not pure,
You are not getting the full benefits.
right,
And you might even be introducing new risks.
a clean and efficient synthesis process is non-negotiable.
It's the starting point for everything else.
Okay, and finally we have OPR&D 2024.pdf.
Okay.
This one gets into the nitty-gritty of experimental procedures and analytical techniques like HPLC.
Yeah.
Why are these so important in the context of controlled release and targeted delivery?
They are essential for really understanding and controlling how these systems work.
Tell me more.
Techniques like HPLC allow us to precisely measure how the drug is released from the formulation over time.
Okay,
And we can also see how much of the drug actually reaches the target site
right.
versus how much ends up elsewhere in the body.
So it is about having the tools to see if these systems are doing what they are designed to do.
Yeah.
We need the data to prove that they are working as intended.
And that is the only way to optimize and refine these complex systems.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit
Sure.
and talk about how all this fits into the broader world of drug development.
Okay.
You mentioned bioavailability a few times.
Yep.
And we have touched on this concept in some of our previous deep dives.
Right.
Specifically in Season 2 accounts in drug discovery and Season 3 ABM processes.
Those are great deep dives.
Bioavailability basically refers to how much of the drug gets into your bloodstream.
Yeah, and how quickly it gets there.
And how does that connect with controlled release and targeted delivery strategies?
So many promising drugs fail because they have low bioavailability.
What causes that?
It could be that they don't dissolve well,
Okay,
or they get broken down by the body too quickly,
right.
or maybe they are not absorbed well from the gut.
And these advanced delivery methods can help with that.
They can make a big difference.
How so?
Controlled release can keep the drug in your system for longer. Okay.
Giving it more time to be absorbed.
Right.
Targeted delivery ensures that more of the drug reaches the specific area where it's needed.
So even if the overall in the bloodstream is low.
Yeah, it's still concentrated where it matters most.
Interesting.
And we actually see this play out in the development of the drug saxagliptin.
Saxagliptin.
Yeah, it is a DPP-4 inhibitor.
And its story is discussed in Season 2 accounts in drug discovery, right?
It is.
They face some challenges optimizing its pharmacokinetic properties.
Including its bioavailability.
And controlled release could have been a solution in that scenario.
Definitely.
Now, we have also talked about preclinical development
Yes.
in previous episodes.
Like in Season 3 preclinical development and IND-enabling transcripts.
Right.
Those were really insightful.
Preclinical studies are all about testing drugs in the lab and in animals before they are given to humans.
Yeah.
How do the principles of controlled release and targeted delivery apply to that stage of drug development? Understanding a drug's pharmacokinetics is absolutely crucial in preclinical development.
Pharmacokinetics.
That's basically how the drug moves through the body,
Right.
how it is absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and eliminated.
Yeah, ADME.
Exactly.
And this is where those preclinical studies come in.
Yes.
They help us determine key parameters like the drug's elimination rate, constant,
Uh-huh.
and its half-life.
That's how long it takes for half of the drug to be eliminated from the body.
And why is that important for controlled release?
Well, if you are designing a sustained release formulation,
Yeah.
the rate at which the drug is released from that system
Right.
needs to be carefully matched to how quickly the body gets rid of it.
So you are aiming for a balance
Yes.
to keep the drug levels steady within that therapeutic window.
Exactly.
Okay, and finally, what about the regulatory aspects?
Oh, yes.
We have explored this in Season 4 clinical trials, phase INA, and Season 5 clinical trials, phase 3, and regulatory approval.
Yeah. Those deep dives were really helpful for understanding the whole process.
It is a long road from those initial preclinical studies
It really
to eventually getting a new drug approved for use in patients.
It's a highly regulated process.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely.
So how does that apply to these more advanced drug delivery systems?
Well, the same rigorous standards apply.
Right.
Any new pharmaceutical product.
Whether it is a traditional drug or one using controlled release or
Yeah.
targeted delivery.
Yeah, all of them.
They have to go through extensive testing before they can be used in humans.
It's all about ensuring safety and efficacy.
And the regulatory agencies are particularly interested in data on the performance of the delivery system itself, right?
Absolutely.
They want to know how well it releases the drug,
Uh-huh.
how accurate the targeting is,
Yeah.
how stable the whole system is,
Yes.
and ultimately, how it affects the patients.
Both in terms of how well it works and its safety profile.
It is a comprehensive evaluation.
It has to be.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of controlled release and targeted drug delivery,
Well,
what are the main takeaways for our listeners?
I think the key benefits are pretty clear.
Lay them on us.
These technologies allow us to optimize how drugs work in the body.
Okay.
They help us minimize those unwanted side effects.
And in many cases, they can also make it easier for patients to stick to their treatment plans.
Absolutely, because they often allow for less frequent dosing.
It is about making medicines work smarter, not harder.
And it all comes down to a deep understanding of material science.
Polymers playing a big role there.
Yes.
And also a thorough understanding of the amazing complexity of the human body.
It's a fascinating field.
It truly is, and it
Yeah.
seems like we are just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Yeah, I think the future is incredibly bright for controlled release and targeted drug delivery.
So here is a thought for you to ponder as we end this episode.
Okay, I am listening.
Given all the advances in nanotechnology and our ever-growing knowledge of human biology, what new breakthroughs do you think we might see in this field?
I can't wait to see what the future holds.
It's exciting to think about.
It really is.
Thank you for joining me today for this deep dive into the world of controlled release and targeted drug delivery.
It's been my pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.